Hey, Scrapper Names fans, welcome back. I've got a new process video here for you. This one is this lovely art journal page. I have to say I quite like how it turned out, even though art journaling is all an experiment to me. So on this occasion, I am using my Delusions art journal. I'm adding here, you can see me adding some clear gesso, to my pages because I was in the mood to get inky. I just was in a mood. So I am using had decided I would use my Jane Davenport Incredible inks on this page. I haven't used them in forever and I do love them. So I wanted to give them a bit of a go, testing out a technique I'd seen previously. And just to see how they would work with, water and things like that. You see how the, Delusions inks work and things like that, the ink sprays. I don't know if they're Delusion, am I right? I don't know. So here we go. And I wanted to make it a really big, double page for this one. So I've got this beautiful blue colour. I will try and remember. I'm trying to show you what they are. Hang on. Wait, where are my inks? Let's have a look. I've got them sitting right next to me this time. So the blue, I think, was the hydrangea. And then, what's the pinky colour? I think the pink was fairy floss. There's a brownie tan colour. It's called tinsel. And I think I end up adding a purple as well, which is either Berrylicious or... I think it's Berrylicious, that one. It's a bit darker. So what I've done, as you can see, is add some drops. Then I thought I'd see how it reacted to water. Now, as I said, art journaling is a test for me. So you may be watching this if you're a bit of an expert at it and go, well, of course, Amy, it's going to react. I didn't know if it would react with water. And they do. And they're fabulous. I absolutely loved the way this worked. It kind of reminded me of when we do butterfly paintings at work. I'm an early childhood teacher and yeah, they look a bit butterfly, so it kind of looked really cool. But I added this purple because I thought it needed something else and I didn't want to add too much more of the other colours. Otherwise they would have probably become too in your face, a bit saturated. So yeah, look at the way it disperses when you add the water. That is just awesome. And I've got little fingers watching and playing around with what I've got and telling me techniques. She was telling me to use the makeup blender sponge thing there. It's actually a Jane one, to smoosh the paint around, inks around the page. Bless her. So just adding some more water, getting some movement so there's some full coverage on the page, and then realised it's probably a bit wet. And even with adding the clear gesso, it still made the paper a bit floppy because it was so wet. There was so much, wet goods on it. Now, my next thing was, I didn't actually know what I was going to do as the next step, pretty much. I did the inks and then went, now what? So I decided to get this stencil, which I haven't used a lot of, but I got it so that I could play around with silhouettes and things like that on my pages. And that's exactly what I'm going to do here, trying to decide what. So I knew, well, not knew, but I figured it would be better if I sort of made sure both sides of the page were cohesive. I didn't want them to look two different things. I wanted to make sure that they looked the same. So that's why I've got two different size silhouettes. I was going with a bit of a, looking at each other, kind of, big to small kind of thing. I don't know, something like that. As I said, no major plan with this page. I literally was just rolling with it. Now, I did have a moment of, okay, how was I going to outline these silhouettes? I tried using a gold Posca pen and it didn't work very well. So these are the Jane Davenport paint over pens. I think that's what she calls them. Yeah, paint over pens. And they worked absolutely brilliantly. I love Jane Davenport stuff. I wish I was as clever as her, but, slowly I might get somewhere near there. But yeah, so they outlined really smoothly. There wasn't big splodgy bits where you've got to push the nib down to make it sort of all the ink run through. It was smooth as to get the silhouette, so it was great. I've used a blue, these I think maybe, and a yellow, or it was purple and yellow, one or the other, to get the outlines. Now I decided next up, did I do my, yeah. So I'm using some matte gel medium to do some collage. I literally just grabbed, I had to pull my 6x6 paper pad basket out to get to my Jane stuff and was like, oh, okay. So there was random bits of paper that fell out. These were the pattern papers that fell out. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to use them for collage. Yeah, I literally was just rolling with it. So as I said, as you can see, I'm trying to make sure that there's some balance to each side so they look cohesive. So where I was adding, you know, 1 or 2 bits of paper, I added to the other side and, you know, yada, yada. But just making sure the matte gel medium, I did have to dry it for a bit using my heat tool before I added the silhouettes and everything. So I did edit that bit out, obviously, but it did take a little bit to dry, not, you know, hours, but a few minutes of just blasting with the heat tool and yeah. So just adding, I did stuff up a little bit in that I didn't let the gel medium dry when I was doing some things on it, so it did sort of stick, not stick, but get ruined a little bit as such. You can't see it overly, which is good, but I know it's there. And now some stenciling. So I thought I'd bring in some more of the yellow and use my Flutter by Stars stencil with a makeup sponge and some yellow Dilutions paint and just splodge it around. Sorry, the camera's shaking a little bit where I'm, you know, whacking it into the stencil. So I ended up having all of a sudden this thought of, let's go with a starry kind of night theme. You know, that sort of image, I guess, was in my head. So that's where this is coming from. I then added more texture using some greyish coloured tissue paper that I literally stuck my hand in my box of texture stuff, and that was what came out. So I was like, cool, that works. It's going with it. It actually looks a bit purpley, I noticed, in the still photos at the end, but I think it's just because of the way the colours it's sitting on. Now the brush I'm using is to put the gel medium on is actually like a rubber brush. It's not got bristles on it, it's anything like that, so it's perfect for adding like the gel medium. It doesn't ruin anything because I just wash it off and it doesn't stick to the brush bristles, makes the bristles all yucky, anything like that. So it's really, really good. As to where I got it from, can't remember. I have a feeling it was from one of the craft shows that come around here in Canberra. So, but I'm sure you'd be able to get it from any of the craft stores that do like mixed media things. Yeah, I may have even got it on at the Flutter by Design retreat, but I'm not, I don't know if that's correct. Yeah, so those are really good. I really love those brushes, if it's what you want to call them. Yeah, to put that stuff on. I haven't tried it with texture paste through a stencil. My texture paste is getting a bit thick and gluggy, so I think I might try and branch out and really get some really nice Liquitex one. Now, I'm adding some background stamps here. I just literally just sort of flick through my stamps. So, yep, this will do. There's a bit of text on the blue paper, that pattern paper I've stuck down. So I sort of went with the texty theme there to link those in together. And it's actually really subtle. I don't know. I thought I put heaps of black ink and it stays on ink on my stamp pad. Sorry, on my stamp. But it doesn't really look like it. However, I really love the subtle tone there that it's got of the stamping. It's not overpowering. It looks really good. And I just put them through my images there, my silhouettes. And happy as Larry with that. Yeah. So, just using a white paint pen now. Actually, is it a paint pen? Where are my pens? On my desk. Hang on. Oh. This one is a uni paint marker. Marks on anything. I don't know. It does really require a really good shake, but it works really well. So I just thought I'd add some doodly bits, doodly sprinkly bits on the page, some stars, some hearts, some dots. And I actually really liked it. At first I thought, oh my God, I've gone overboard. But then stepping back and looking at the page, I just think it added a nice little touch to it. Really popped a bit, I think. And then, now this little text quote, if you want to call it, this isn't from anyone. This I literally just had in my head, and that's what I wrote down. And this pen actually worked really well to write. I thought it was going to be a bit of a pain. The only problem was I was a bit impatient. I probably didn't dry the paint and the gel medium, matte gel medium, very well. And it was a little bit squidgy in parts, so, like, still wet. So I had to keep, like, clearing off, like you can see, my pen, so that I was worried that it would go yuck. So, note to self and all others, make sure each layer is dry before you decide to add any writing or any other layers. But I was impatient, I was on a roll, and my creative time was running out. It was the afternoon and I needed to get moving. So, yeah, I just was like, oh well, let's go. But I do really love how this turned out. I was so happy that the inks worked out really well. I thought that, yeah, I think the colours went perfectly together, and it all looks really lovely for an art journal page. So I enjoy experimenting. So if you're anything like me, and I've probably said this before, and you're not sure of the arty side of things, but you want to dabble, get yourself an art journal and play. That's all I do. Some pages look absolutely horrible, or I think they do, and then there's pages like this where I'm really super happy with them, and they're basic, they're nothing special as such. I'm sure there is a lot better out there, but this was perfect for me. So it's all about you, and that's the other thing with my art journal. It's not for anyone else except me, and obviously if I share with you. So yeah, but thank you so much for watching this art journal page. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to subscribe. Any questions, comments, put them below, and a thumbs up. See you next time. Bye.